All right, end of the day. This is a '05 Chevy Colorado. The complaint is that the engine light stays on when the key is off and the battery dies overnight. And they just parked it just a couple minutes ago. So it's 12.7273 now. And what I'm gonna do is let it set until I'll do this one first thing in the morning. And we'll do it while it's cold, see what the battery is when I get here. So there's our engine light. Here's the key. There's no key in it. See if it comes on when I start the truck. Stays on now. Yep, still on. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is let me grab the scanner and scan it right quick. Okay, I'm still trying to scan this thing. Let's do base because they have an aftermarket in here. With traction control. Two faults in the PCM. Body control is good. Digital radio receiver, well, not equipped, of course. They got a Pioneer in here. Instrument cluster is good. Radio not equipped. The airbags, no faults. And VCIM, good. So what is ignition 1, circuit switch 2, control module, ignition off, timer performance. Okay, so that right there. Okay, so now let's talk about why it's here. The customer says that they took it to another shop. His complaint was the battery was dying overnight and the engine light was staying on when the key's out of the ignition. And they told him that it was the ignition switch. So they apparently took it out, put a new one in, but then told him they couldn't program that. They needed the Honda special equipment to program it. So they took that one out, put his old one back in, charged him $200 and something and told him, see you, basically. So that's where we're at. And then the next shop he took it to, they told him to contact me. And then, of course, because I spent a lot of time at this one shop, he went ahead and brought it over here so I could look at it tomorrow. So I'm gonna look this up, get the wiring diagrams for it and find out, but apparently I'm thinking that ignition is staying active. So I'll be back in the morning. All right, I'm back with the Colorado. First thing I look for is see if the engine light's on, and I do not see it. I'm not gonna put the key in. I'm gonna check battery voltage first. Is the interior light on? No. All right. Battery voltage didn't drop much at all. So, but look here. Let's take a picture of it. So definitely that one is still, this is the one. Now, after doing research last night, that was number 56. And the only thing I saw looking in here between the two codes is, if you look, I went back and studied the picture I had here. There is no nothing showing for this space right here. So why is this relay here? Because on service info and on the box here, that one shouldn't be here, but there's a TSB for the two codes that are in there to say check the relays, because there's empty spaces and they might have put them in wrong. So that one is staying active. So let me find out why, and let me remove this one first and see if that goes away, or if it goes away. I'm gonna have to, I'll put my meter in series with the battery and see what the draw is. It must not be a whole lot, because it only went down, I mean, a little bit. It didn't go down much. I was expecting more, but as you see, that one is activated this morning. So, all right, I'll be back. Okay, I have the meter hooked and I got 207 milliamps right now. I just hooked it up, so let me give it a few minutes to go to sleep, because it really didn't do a whole lot of draw last night. So what I'm gonna do is give it a few minutes to go to sleep, and then I'm gonna remove this actual relay right here and see if whatever's left stops. I could probably remove it now and it would do it too, but I just want to see what's there. So and then I'll remove this one, because that's the one that's heated up. Number 56, let me make sure 100%, 56. And that's the one that TSB is for. So let's look at the thing. So the customer said, so there you see, we got a P1682 and a P2610. And the customer was saying that he called me back right before I left last night, and he asked, are you sure it's not the ignition switch that they replaced? And I said, at this point, I really don't know, but I see why they would think that. But normally when I go to shops, I can scan it, and when it says certain things, I know it's already been replaced. So like this one, the P1682, it says ignition 1 switch circuit, keyword circuit 2. And so they're thinking, okay, let's replace the ignition switch. So I understand why they did. Their job is to get them in, get them out, and make money. But I know that's why it didn't work, even though they didn't have the key machine to do it for Chevy, not Honda, as I said earlier. So for Chevy, but but there's a TSB just for these two codes. Hold on, let me find that. So this one right here, SES remains illuminated when key is removed from ignition. P1682 P2610. So there's other things that it might do, but they're talking about technicians may find that these are stored the results. This may be the result of the following relays in the underhood bus electrical system, installed in the wrong position, and in 51 through 56. And 56 is the one that heated up. And as I said, there's a space beside it, so that shouldn't be there. These relays are located near a number of empty cavities in the fuse box that are not utilized for this vehicle. During service, these open cavities may have been confused with the correct location, resulting in the relay being reinstalled in the wrong position. The above symptoms were the only ones noted. However, other symptoms may apply. So that's what we're looking at. And 56 is the it says ETC02 sensor fuse I've already pulled the wiring diagrams and such, so what I'm going to do is see if it goes to sleep now that I've been sitting over here rambling, and then pull that relay and see what we have. All right, just a few minutes later, still 204. And this one is the one I'm going to take out, the one that says, and it dropped to 105. So for a relay that doesn't show anything in service info, nor a spot here, it's kind of odd. So I'm gonna give that a couple minutes to go to sleep and see what it does, and then I'll come back here and see what's going on with that, and then we'll remove that. I'm sure if I remove it now, it'll go away probably, but I'm gonna wait and see if it goes to sleep. All right, we're still at 105, so now I'm going to pull this one and see what we can have. Actually, I'm going to move it a little bit first. See if that changes anything. No, okay. So now, and nothing changed at all there. All right, put that one back, and let me just see if it cools down while I'm waiting, and then we'll get the amp hound and see what other circuits are still alive right now, because that might be still alive and then running over and doing something in the ignition, but we'll see. So the amp hound, if you haven't seen it, it's the quickest way to use it is by sound, is the way I find. And if you take the two connectors and run them across the fuses, it'll beep solid if there's no draw, but it will beep at you when it finds draw. And this one, beep beep, that one, and this one right here, just 15 amp down here. Them two are the ones that are showing draw. Now my drain is dropped down to 59 milliamps, and it's 32 and 34. So let me bring your camera back up here so you can see now. 32 and 34. Let me try to zoom in a little bit so you can see. All right, 32 TBC, and that's probably what went to sleep. And then 32 right there is radio, and there's an aftermarket radio. So let me grab, I dropped my pliers, so let me get the pliers and pull that radio one out and see if it goes away. I'm gonna suspect that one first. All right, let's try this again. So anyway, we got 59 over here. This is 32, the one for the radio, which, like I said, it's aftermarket. So I'm gonna pull that, and we drop down 23. I think our problem is solved. I'll be back. All right, here's the heat signature after about 5 minutes, if that. So, and it dropped down to, what is it, 23 milliamps. Now I'm gonna scan the car again and see if we're good. I'm gonna put the key in first and see what it does when I turn. Okay, nothing came on the first click, and before the engine light came on first click and second click. Of course, it should come on second click. Show me that the light works. Let's see if it goes out. All right, it didn't go out yet. And now let's see if we can start it. Started, and the engine light went out. Okay, now let's go and scan it and see what she says. So right now, it's looking like everything's fixed. The engine light's not on. Now let me turn it off. Let me do a save report here. I always like to save it because it gives it a timestamp too. So, all right. And then let me back out. Yep. Phone rings and turns my thing. All right, so now turn the key off, take it out. Nope. All right, so it looks like we're good. All right, amigos, that was a good find, but that's not where it ends. Here comes the good part. That was not a customer of my normal customers. That was a customer that was referred to me to do the job from another customer, and I had him do it at a shop that I most frequent. And that's where when I gave that vehicle back to him, that problem was solved. And this is 1 month to the day since I completed that. But the customer had another concern. He said his air conditioning didn't work, and that the other shop had told him the air conditioning's fine when they jump it out. He said, what does that mean? And I said, well, it could mean jumping out, maybe the relay or bi-directional or something as that. But I could look at it and see if you'd like. And he was with me during the whole time. So I don't have this film, but I learned a lot. There's still something to be learned because we're still waiting for parts to come back. In the filming of what I did already, you'll notice on the passenger side floorboard by the kick panel, the carpet is pulled up. That plays an important role here because the air condition, the inputs from the HVAC control units go to the BCM, which live right there at that kick panel. And the outputs go from there out to the compressor and such like that. And when I use the bi-directional scan tool, I can see my inputs into the BCM when I activate the AC and all. It says it's activated or that the switch is activated, but the actual output is not. Now, when I go over to activate the BCM for the air condition, I can actually activate it and all. And it was during that time that we found out that actually his headlights weren't working either, which the BCM controls. So he said they were working. Well, I don't know when they went out, but that had nothing to do with what we were doing before. Thinking maybe he didn't drive at night and hadn't noticed it, says it went out. But when I went around to actually, even though I saw on the scan tool that I had my inputs and my outputs, and apparently they weren't combining, I wanted to check the wiring integrity at the BCM. When I opened the door, the carpet I could see was up, and I could see a bunch of white towels under it. And I told him, I said, well, that might be a problem there, the water getting into the BCM. And he said, yeah, it stays flooded down there. So I took the wires, tested them, and the wiring integrity was fine. But the BCM, for some reason, wouldn't marry the stuff inside and make them work. When I took the BCM out, that one has a plastic case around it, it seems. It's like you can just clip it and open it up. You could actually smell the burning of it inside of it, and you could actually see on the circuit board where some of the things had burnt out. And I said, well, this is obviously our problem. So need to get a new one. It'll probably have to be programmed. And that was that, I thought. It wasn't. That part on the 05 Colorado is discontinued, and he couldn't find one anywhere. So a local salvage yard had one. It's like 40 or 50 bucks. And he got that and called me back, and I put that in. It worked, had to program the keys and all. The problem was now we had headlights. We didn't have driving lights anymore, but we still didn't have air conditioning. And the big thing was that the mileage from the donor vehicle, the used vehicle, whatever they had, now is what this vehicle is saying. So it has increased. That one had more miles. So we're trying to find a solution to that. And there was a company that said they could fix the original BCM. So, and they guaranteed to work. He shipped that BCM off to that company, and they supposedly did the repairs. And when it came back to him, now the vehicle wouldn't even start. And he opened it up and looked, and the board was still burnt. Luckily, that company stood behind it and refunded his money. And I didn't know any other option for him, but he found another company that said, you send us the instrument cluster, the BCM, and the original miles, and we can fix it. Luckily, in the first video that I did of the other repair, we could see what the original miles were. So supposedly that they are going to fix it and send them back a good BCM. So only time will tell. Like I said, I'm looking at the calendar. It's been 1 month to the day since all this occurred. But yeah, hoping for the best. So the lesson learned on this is that, don't use, all the shops I work for, they always get new parts, and I program and put them on. In this case, the part's discontinued, so what do? So the lesson is that when the BCM goes out on this Colorado, send it off to somebody that can repair it, so you don't have the problem of the mileage. And that's the big thing, that mileage was increased, almost doubled, or if not doubled. So hey, I hope this helps someone out, and until the next one, amigos, I'm out.